Hi everyone, this is Rachna, and today I want to talk about diet, and particularly one size does not fit all diet concepts. Okay, I think I'm still getting used to the Facebook Live interface, but anyway, so I got distracted. Today I wanted to ask you something. I want to demonstrate a simple process or concept. I am wearing something different today. And how do I look? If you asked me about a week ago that I would be asking this question on a social media, I would have given you a look like this and said, "What?" I would agree with most of you that this t shirt is a little bit oversized for me, and I stole this from my husband, and he will thank me for later, and I should thank him actually later. But anyways, so this is my t-shirt, and this doesn't really fit me well, and I'm wearing a t-shirt underneath, so that is something that's my t-shirt. Okay, and clearly this is a better fit for me and not the best dress for me, but definitely much better than what I was wearing earlier. The fact is that we spend a lot of time selecting the clothes that we need to wear or buy, but I have seen very few people actually spending time to figure out what foods actually they should be eating and what is in their food. There are hardly many people who look at the ingredients, and if you actually start, just make one change. Start looking at the ingredients of the food that you eat. Your health would be in a totally new dimension. But this is not exactly what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to also talk about what actually makes a food healthy. So if you think about clothing, like why would you select particular dress? Because A, it looks good on you, yes, but it is comfortable to wear, it is breathable. Likely, if you go with the natural fiber, that actually works good. And similar to this, we have elements of healthy diet, and this is mostly unprocessed, wholesome food that is local and seasonal and something that your body can digest well. In fact, you are what you are able to do with your food, not just what you eat. So that means what your body can digest and what kind of nutrients can you assimilate. One of the problem when we eat junk food or not so nutritious foods is that we need to actually eat a lot of food in order to make up for the micronutrient content that our body needs, and that is one of the reasons that we overeat in this regard. One of the good quote actually I or the best diet advice that I have heard, it's by Michael Pollan, who is one of the well-known figure in the dietary world, and he was on the nutrition, uh, and he talks about eating real food, not too much, mostly plants, and that summarizes it real well. I'm not a big fan of all these fad diets going on these days. Um, you can be on keto, you can be on paleo, you can be vegan, you can be vegetarian, or you can be on high protein diet, and so on. One thing is to realize is this. Yes, one diet may give somebody really drastic results, but is that the best diet for you? And this is something that I work with my clients to figure out using the elimination diet concept. Before you even go on trying any particular diet, you need to figure out what food work with you. And in this regard, I would like to actually pick on keto. I'm not super against it, but there are some things that I do not like about it. Those who do not know what keto diet is, I would like to explain a little bit. So, what happens is that when we eat food, and especially carbohydrates, our body is programmed to take the glucose from that food and use it as a simple energy source for our cells. So when we eat food, the glucose, our insulin um, we get glucose and our insulin sends it to the cell, and that's how we generate energy. On the other hand, when we are on the keto diet, what happens is that we are relying on the fat to burn for our energy. So our fat burns, or fat is converted to ketones, and we use ketones for as the energy source in our cell. So we really have to train our cells to use a different energy source. And that works great for many people in the short term. But what happens? In the fat metabolism, your liver is one of the prime organs that has to participate. And in the current lifestyle, most of us are dealing with high loads of toxicity that is coming from our environment, from the air that we breathe, from the water that we drink, and also from the food. If you're not eating organic food, or even the skin products that we are using, if they are not having the right chemicals, and if they are also not organic, we will our body absorbs those, and then our liver has to take care of it, and most of the time it is already overloaded, and on top of it we are giving it extra work to do the metabolism as well. So in the long term, I am not sure if that would work for someone particularly who is dealing with chronic health issues such as autoimmunity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and many more. So what do I particularly think is are the elements of healthy diet? So I kind of touched upon it earlier, said that I believe that we need to work on, or our diet should be mostly based on wholesome foods which are minimally processed, which means yes, you if one thing that you can do for yourself is read the ingredient, and that is not an understatement. Go for local organic food, um, something that is in season. And this is the thing that I have seen got hurt the most when the coronavirus hit. Earlier, those who were eating more vegetables, now they were relying more on grains for their energy source. And that is okay for a temporary solution. But when you're looking for long-term solution, in fact, the vegetables that are having different diversity, different colors, different lot more phytochemicals that actually provide or help us get the nutrients and the micronutrients that our body need. And if that is lacking in our diet, our immunity goes down. Okay. The third thing about healthy eating is how we eat. I have seen, in fact, I am guilty of it. I eat very fast, and I don't spend the time to chew my food. And that is particularly important in digestion of proteins and also carbohydrates, where carbohydrates are typically easily digested. And when it comes to the food sensitivities and what doesn't work with our body, the proteins are the one that are the problematic food. And that's when you want to be chewing your food very well, so that by the time it reaches your stomach acid can absorb it really well, and you can digest it better than what you would have had if you had been eating very fast. And let me look at my notes because I need to cover everything that I had planned. So, okay. So eat fresh food, I think we talked about, and eat the foods that you can digest. That's also we talked about. So these are the 5 elements of healthy eating. One is eating organic, locally produced food. Secondly, eat foods that you can digest, and take time to actually figure out what foods work with you. All you need to is to pay a little bit more attention to what you are eating. Most of the time, at least I feel the fad diets work because people are being mindful of what they are eating, and they are not able to, as soon as you become a little particular about what you have to eat, you cannot just rely on going to a restaurant and ordering your food. You are going to probably take time to read the ingredients and also take time to prepare that food, and that by itself will help you become healthier. And if you're looking to shed some extra weight on you, that's gonna make it that's gonna work for you. And Yeah, so the third element is eat variety of food. In fact, if your diet is mostly relying on different types of vegetables with some grain, and I'm in particularly fan of a whole plant-based diet, that has worked very well for me. I do believe that some animal protein, particularly the organ protein like liver, is good for people who are suffering from especially autoimmune issues. But this is something that is beyond what I can actually force myself to do. So I still rely on vegetarian, mostly vegan food with some yogurt and ghee that actually works with me. And so this is something, if you know what works with you and it also is good with what your thoughts is, or which agrees with your overall um, philosophy, that is something that you should at least be comfortable with eating. The fourth one is eating fresh food, taking time to prepare a meal. And the fifth thing is eating in a relaxed manner. When we are eating in a stressful environment, we are definitely impacting our digestion quite a bit, and that's not something that forms the basis of healthy eating. So I think this is has been a little generic, but I think it is important that people start paying attention to what they eat, how they eat, and when they eat. Um, and we haven't really touched about when they eat, but this is something that I believe that if you do eat a little bit earlier, your food, if you have your dinner particularly earlier in the evening, you will have plenty of time to digest your food. And even if you are eating not so healthy food, if you are able to digest it, there's nothing bad about it. So let me know what you felt about it. And if you're watching it live, I can't see you yet because again, I'm not as familiar with this interface. In mobile, it is very easy to see who came. But anyway, so thank you for watching, and I would love for you to leave your comments, whether you liked or if something else I can talk about. Next week, I think I'm going to talk about stress and the cholesterol, and in fact, stress and any of the autoimmune issues. Stress is a big factor in our life that is very different from what it was 50 years ago. And that is one of the bigger reason, at least I believe, that is responsible for many of these modern day diseases. It helps change your, it does help you change your genetics differently. So stay tuned, share the video if you like, and I would catch you next week. Thank you. And I would be hanging out here for a few minutes. So if you have any questions, send it to my chat box.